Hi, we're Quentin Curious Volumes. My name is James. The lighting is getting kind of weird around this joint. I'm trying to, we'll get it sorted out eventually. It's Thursday, the 7th of November, 2 days after Election Day in America. Uh, Sad couple of days for some of us. But got kind of a 2004 feeling, if you remember Election Day 2004, which was eventually followed by Election Day 2008. So there will be an election day 2028, and maybe we'll have some historical parallels. Someone who knew about historical parallels or cycles, long cycles of time widening gyres, is a poet I'm going to talk to you today. W.B. Yeats, William Butler Yeats, great Irish poet, winner of the Nobel Prize. And there are some of his poems that are probably top of mind for some of you. I'm going to read a couple. I don't know if I'll read those, but this was William Butler Yeats was a poem. A poet. I had something assigned by him in high school. I think it was. I know it was sailing to Byzantium. And I think I was assigned to write a paper on it for an English class, and I just found it so fascinating. I really fell under the spell of this poet, and really got into him for a while in high school. I haven't read him for a long time, but his poems are ones that will stick with you. That have kind of real hooks. I remember. Louise Glick, a very different poet, but one who I admire a lot. She refers to Yeats, among others, as stadium poetry. You know, some of these things like The Second Coming, or Sailing to Byzantium, for that matter. Stadium poetry, as in like stadium rock, like big operatic poems, but really, poems like a lot of poems used to be. The Iliad and the Odyssey, certainly stadium poems. So I'm getting off track. I'm going to read you a poem by W.B. Yeats. This was the one I planned to read, The Madness of King Goll. And this is an early poem based on some Irish mythology. I sat on cushioned otter skin. My word was law from Ith to Emain, and shook at Invar Amargin the hearts of the world-troubling seamen, and drove tumult and war away from girl and boy and man and beast. The fields grew fatter day by day, the wild fowl of the air increased, and every ancient olive said, while he bent down his fading head, he drives away the northern cold. They will not hush, the leaves flutter around me, the beech leaves old. I sat and mused and drank sweet wine. A herdsman came from inland valleys, crying the pirates drove his swine to fill their dark-beaked hollow galleys. I called my battle-breaking men and my loud brazen battle cars from rolling vale and rivery glen, and under the blinking of the stars fell on the pirates by the deep and hurled them in the gulf of sleep. These hands won many a torque of gold. They will not hush the leaves aflutter around me, the beech leaves old. But slowly, as I shouting slew and trampled in the bubbling mire, in my most secret spirit grew a whirling and a wandering fire. I stood, keen stars above me shone, around me shone keen eyes of men. I laughed aloud and hurried on a rocky shore and rushing brushy fen. I laughed because birds fluttered by, and starlight gleamed, and clouds flew high, and rushes waved, and waters rolled. They will not hush, the leaves aflutter round me, the beech leaves old. And now I wander in the woods, when summer gluts the golden bees, or in autumnal solitudes arouse the leopard-colored trees. Or when along the wintry strands the cormorants shiver on their rocks, I wander on and wave my hands, and sing and shake my heavy locks. The gray wolf knows me. By one ear I lead along the woodland deer. The hares run by me growing bold. They will not hush, the leaves aflutter round me, the beech leaves old. I came upon a little town that slumbered in the harvest moon. and passed a tiptoe up and down, murmuring to a fitful tune. How I have followed night and day a trampling of tremendous feet, and saw where this old tympan lay, deserted on a doorway seat, and bore it to the woods with me of some inhuman misery. Our married voices wildly trolled, they will not hush the leaves aflood around me, the beech leaves old. I sang how, when the day's toil is done, Orchil shakes out her long dark hair that hides away the dying sun and sheds faint odors through the air. When my hand passed from wire to wire, it quenched with sound like falling dew, and whirling and the wandering fire, but lift a mournful ullaloo. For the kind wires are torn and still, and I must wander wood and hill. Through summer's heat and winter's cold, they will not hush. The leaves a flutter round me, the beech leaves hold. So that is The Madness of King Goll by W.B. Yeats. Let's see. I want to read another one that one kind of raised up in me, and it's another one. I guess it's in. Let's see, about the same. It's also an early one from a different collection, and so here he's remember in The Madness of King Goll, he's in the midst of this battle with pirates, and as he's as shouting slew and trampled in the bubbling mire, so he's in the midst of battle, and he suddenly is kind of his secret spirit grew, and he notices what's going on in the natural world around him, and he's looking up at the sky and the shore and the sea, and he starts laughing. And as we encounter the Mad King, he's now sort of apparently wandered off from the battle, and maybe he has been wandered off for quite some time. We don't really know, but he's just wandering around in the countryside, befriending woodland animals, or is he? He keeps repeating this thing about sort of being troubled by the beech leaves rustling around him. So, how much of this is true, right? Good old unreliable narrator strikes again. But what is he thinking about? He's thinking about when he's in the midst of that battle. He's thinking about the natural world and how he could just leave this behind. And there is another famous Yeats poem that is about someone who is in the midst of civilization, standing on a pavement by the side of the road and thinking, maybe I should go and just mind my own business for a while, turn off the news, disconnect for a bit, maybe for a long bit, maybe forever. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way these days. So one possible reaction to the news of the world is The Lake Isle of Inisfree by W.B. Yeats. So I'll just read that one. I will arise and go now, and go to Inisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There are midnights all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray, I hear it in the deep heart's core. So, my friends, 2 by W.B. Yeats. I'll leave it there. Whatever you need to do to get through the next 4 years or however long, do what you need to do, my friends. And just some suggestions. All right, have a good day.